back to Well, What Do You Know? Today's episode is a really special one. I'm joined by Justin Flaws, head coach of the 3A State Champion Carlisle Wildcats. But this conversation goes way beyond basketball. We start at the beginning, growing up in Carlisle, the influence of family, and some unexpected twists along the way, including a journey through music that helped shape who he is today. Then in the second part, we dive into that championship season, what made this team special, the moments that define the run, and what it takes to build something truly great. It's a longer episode, but it's one I think you're really going to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Justin Flaws. Justin, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've had a pretty good week. We'll get to that pretty soon, but let's start with you growing up. Tell me where that happened, and tell me a little bit about your family, if you would.
Carlisle, Iowa is pretty much where it all happened. I mean, I was born in Grimes, but we don't really tell anybody that. But I moved to Carlisle sometime between the age of 1 and 2. And my uncle got a job down here. My dad got a job teaching at Sacred Heart in West Des Moines, which is a Dowling feeder school. And he taught there for 42 years before retiring. But that's kind of what brought us all to Carlisle, was looking for a community that was close to where he was teaching. And he was coaching girls basketball at that time with my Uncle Jim. And
so he lived in Carlisle but was commuting to West Des Moines?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We've lived in Carlisle now since 85, 86, somewhere in there. But my mom was a daycare provider out of our house. And very much connected to the Carlisle community since getting here. They coached, my dad and my uncle coached volleyball, basketball, and softball. They all three way back starting in the 80s, mid 80s. And that established a pretty strong connection to the community pretty quick. And I feel like I've spent more time in the school building than I have anywhere else in my entire life.
Right.
Just between all of their practices and all that stuff, and now teaching here. It's pretty crazy. The community of Carlisle has been great to us.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I've got 2 brothers.
2 brothers. Okay.
Yep.
And where are you at in the line there?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And then my brother Jordan, he is a Parks and Rec director at Pleasantville, and he graduated from Carlisle as well. My brother Josh is in Van Meter. He's a social studies teacher there, and he's the head cross country and track coach for the girls at Van Meter, and then assistant softball coach at Van Meter as well.
And he's had quite a bit of success there as well, correct?
He has. I'm trying to catch him, but man, he's on a run that I don't think I'll ever catch up to him. But yeah, it's been awesome to watch my little brother achieve all the things that he thought he could. And you got to be a little bit crazy to go after it, but he's done it, and he's succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. It's been pretty awesome for him.
How much age difference is there between you and your brothers?
Let's see. Between me and Jordan, there's roughly 3. Josh was born in 91. I was born in 84. So what's that math? 7?
7 years, yeah.
Yeah. So
were you guys close enough to be pretty competitive with each other?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's videos of me and Jordan growing up playing one-on-one in the dining room. And, man, he couldn't have been much older than 3.
Really?
And I'm fouling him hard to the ground and kind of showing him no mercy. And then he'd come right back and do it to me. And that's kind of when I knew that my brother Jordan was going to be pretty good at sports. And
right. He's
probably the most talented of the 3 of us. And he worked harder than all of us. You know, the direct correlation between hard work and talent and all that, you know. But Jordan was the one that I was closest to in age. And then he returned that to Josh. So all this stuff, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, whatever it might be, everything that I kind of dished out on him, he turned around and gave that right back to Josh. And then as Josh started getting older, he turned into bigger than all of us. So he repaid both of us later on down the line.
I was going to say, did you have a family cat or dog that Josh could pick on, or no?
No family cats or dogs. But, my Uncle Jim, who's my dad's twin brother, lived a couple blocks from us. And his kids went to my mom's daycare. So really, I say that I got 2 siblings, but there's 4 more brothers essentially aside from that, because we grew up so close.
Right.
And so, yeah, Josh got to kind of dish it out on Jeremy a little bit. Jeremy got to dish it on to John, and then John was the one that was kind of left in the dust by all of it. But yeah, there was enough of us that were very close in age that there was never a time where there wasn't competition going on.
Still close, I assume?
Very,
Yeah.
very,
You guys do a lot
absolutely.
of, I know we're jumping ahead, but do you guys do some family competitions now, like golf outings or something like that? Is that what I've seen, or softball games or something?
All of it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So my dad and Jim's birthday is in early May, so we always have a Flaws family golf outing to kind of see who can win there. We'll go best shot and see who can win. Actually, Josh, James, and Jordan were volunteer assistants for me this year. They didn't show up very much, but I made sure that they were approved to be volunteer assistants for me, and they came in and helped out when we needed some scout team things and whatnot. And it was very, very nice to have people that can still run, because I can't,
Right.
but have people that can still move and compete that way. But yeah, family Christmas. So for the last 25 years, until my grandpa just passed away a few years ago, we'd always have family Christmas basketball game. So we break the teams up and kept a running total of whose team had won more games and all that. And, you know, I'd like to say that my team always won, but the team with the best shooters always ends up on top. And usually that's the team with either Jordan or Jim on it. And man, those guys can shoot the basketball.
Were you guys pretty close growing up, or were there a lot of fights?
There were fights in the sense that there was so much love. Never anything like I've seen some brothers fight, you know. We were very, very close. We still are very, very close.
Good.
There's not a day where I'm not talking to those guys several times throughout the day,
Yeah.
you know. We've got our group chat text message where we always stay in touch, and we like to remind each other of who's the smartest one of all of us and who's the best looking and all that. Usually I'm the one on the short end of the stick on everything, but yeah, we're very, very close, and we're brothers and cousins and whatnot, but you're about as good of friends as you could ever be to go along with that.
You mentioned your parents and your uncle. What about grandparents? Did you have a good relationship with them?
Yeah.
Both sets? Are they still around?
No. So my dad's originally from Webster City,
Okay.
and my mom's from Bancroft, way up north of Algona, way up there, right?
Practically Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep. So my mom's parents are Roy and Rita Fox. They owned a restaurant in Bancroft. My grandpa was the mayor. We would always go up on weekends and stay at their house. I couldn't imagine two more loving people, just big-hearted, awesome, genuine, down-to-earth people. My grandpa Roy passed away in 2010, I believe it was. He ended up getting cancer at 84, 85 years old, somewhere in there. World War II veteran. Somehow he survived Normandy, and he would always, thankfully, he was one of the ones that was able to talk about it. You know, he didn't shy away from the conversation and was always willing to, you know, have that conversation. And he lets you know the depth of what it really was.
Mhm.
And he'd be emotional about it while still being composed enough around his grandkids that it wouldn't like freak you out, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I appreciate the fact that he had the guts to go and fight and somehow make it back alive, because he's like, everybody around me just perished, you know, they're dead in the water. And
It's so rare that he was able to talk about it.
yeah, I was very surprised about that, and the conversations that came from that was pretty awesome. But yeah, two awesome people. But Rita is still alive.
Okay.
She's 96 now, I want to say. She lives down in Scottsdale with my aunt and uncle, and she's the orneriest lady you could ever dream of being around. She's just the best, man. I don't know how you keep on going at 96 years old, but every single time I talk to her, she's so fired up, and I think she's just kind of too ornery to get tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rita's still around. She's the only grandparent that I've got left. My dad's parents are from Webster City, like I said, Dean and Virginia Flaws. Virginia died when I was 1.
Okay.
Yeah, she got cancer and passed away when she was, I think, 55. So a lot of my dad's younger years, she was pretty sick. So times were, I think, pretty tough for him growing up, and I think that kind of developed him and his brothers into the people that they are, as far as just pretty gritty, resilient people that they've been through a lot. They didn't have much growing up, and they're kind of self-made in that way.
Isn't that funny though? Because it probably made their relationship better, right? The brothers.
Absolutely.
And then it sounds like they've passed that on to you guys, because you see how strong they are, and now you have described your brothers and cousins as friends.
Yes.
Probably because of what happened to him as a kid.
There's no doubt about that, because my grandpa Dean was a truck driver for Winnebago, and he was always gone out on the road, like, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, that direction. And it was the kids doing the best they could, and they, oddly enough, they kind of, everything fell back on basketball, and they'd spend so much time. They've got calendars of how much time each day they spent at the basketball court working on, becoming as good as they could. And Jim was a great high school player. Dean was a phenomenal high school player. They both went on and played at Briarcliff. But yeah, their relationship, Matt, you point that out. All of my dad's siblings now live in Carlisle. They've all ended up here after they've retired and everything. And they still get together at Dean's house and play cards and just do the sibling thing. And it's funny, the connection to the way that our family is right now, they didn't have that growing up. And that's something I think that they made a conscious effort to pass on to us. And I'm pretty thankful for that.
They're honoring her by being all together. I mean, As a parent, there's nothing better than when my 3 kids are together having a good time together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're honoring her by doing that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our best memories probably come with each other, and that's pretty special. Some people aren't as lucky as we've been.
Right. So you said you went to high school in Carlisle.
Yep.
I know how much of a sports fan you are. So did you participate in everything?
Yeah, I think at one point or another throughout high school, I probably played 4, maybe 5 sports. I gave up football for cross country just because being 5'8", maybe 135 pounds.
Right.
There were guys on our football team. I wasn't afraid of the games. I was afraid of the practices. Those guys could hit, and I couldn't hit. So cross country was the route that I went because it get me ready for basketball season. That was really my first love was basketball. I played baseball. Golf was really what became my ultimate love. That's what I ended up going to college for initially, was to play golf. But yeah, sports here at Carlisle, I'm grateful for the opportunities that the school gave me. Back then, it was considerably smaller than it is now. I think my graduating class was about 95 to 100, right in there. Mm-hmm. And now our classes are the 160 to 180 range.
Wow.
But yeah, growing up here was pretty awesome. I got to participate in everything that I wanted to. And, thankfully I wasn't at a 5A school where I would have been overlooked. I was probably at the place that was right for me. And yeah, Carlisle's been a good place for me.
So did you always plan to get into teaching and coaching then through high school?
No, not at all. Teaching and coaching didn't find me until later. I knew that I'd always loved sports. I had volunteered to coach my brother's team a couple times. But no, that's not something that was on my radar until I was in my late 20s, to be completely honest with you. Okay. Coming out of high school, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to play golf. I knew that I wanted to play basketball, but I knew the odds that I was up against when it came down to like the physicality of it, I wasn't there. But I knew that I wanted to play golf. I originally went to college for sports medicine and quickly learned that I didn't want to do that any longer. And then, I took a unique few turns off of that, and pretty thankful for where all of that took me.
Where did you go to college after high school?
So initially I went to Iowa Central in Fort Dodge.
Yep.
Where I was on the basketball team for a week, and a kid that ended up at Western Kentucky, he drove down the lane at a practice, threw it off the board and dunked it on me. And I was just kind of like, all right, I'm out. I couldn't compete with that. I could pass you the ball. I could maybe shoot it a little bit, but no, it was pretty clear at that point where I stood on the team, and it wasn't a selfish move. It was I'm not going to do anything for these guys.
JUCO basketball is no joke.
They're very, very good.
Yeah.
you know.
They are.
So then that's when I focused on golf until I left Iowa Central. But yeah, golf was kind of what my love was there for a little while. I went to about 4 more colleges after that, though.
Well, you got to list them.
Yeah. DMAC. I transferred back to DMAC pretty quickly after Iowa Central.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily love my situation up there. It was my first time away from home, probably a little bit homesick. So I went back to DMAC. When I got back to DMAC, let's rewind this real quick. When I was 14, my parents gave me a choice between a guitar and a moped. And that decision, as I look back on it, and people talk about like the butterfly effect and all that.
Right.
That decision really kind of set up the rest of my life. And it is wild to think that I can directly pinpoint that situation. I chose the guitar, and I, started self-taught. I taught myself how to play. A couple of my buddies played. I learned a few things from them, but it's just something that I genuinely loved. Did that all the way through high school. And then when I got back from Iowa Central, one of my buddies' bands was preparing for a big show, and their bass player had quit. And I'd been around enough of their stuff that I knew the structure of the songs. I knew that I could play them. So, a week out, I got thrown into playing my first show with this band.
And playing bass.
And playing bass, yeah. Which was not something that I intended on ever doing, but I learned that I love playing bass. I played my first show in front of like 800 people in Des Moines, Iowa at Toad Holler on the south side.
Right.
And that kind of like changed the trajectory of like what I was doing as far as college goes.
You got to tell me the band name.
Oh, the band back then was called Drain, like Draine, which is like a German bird, I guess.
Okay.
But that band was called Drain. And after about a year of that, like I just kind of naturally, I never even joined the band. I don't think. I was just kind of the bass player at that point. It's like, hey guys, we have another show, or hey, we're practicing. And there was no formal invite to it. I just kept on showing up. That led to a long run of playing music and having bands of my own, and I dropped out of DMAC a couple of times because of it. Ended up with a band called Adeline by the time I was done, who was from the Ames area at the time. It ended up being pretty cool. Those guys are super, super talented, and being able to go and make a record with them was great. We ended up recording in Chicago, and then they went out and finished it in LA out at Sound City, which is where like Nirvana's Nevermind and Tom Petty's Damn the Torpedoes and all that, they're made out there. So we had a pretty good run of it. And that I wrote my parents a letter when I decided that I was going to go all in on the band thing that said, hey, I know this doesn't make any sense because nobody in our family's ever done anything like this, but I have to do this because I don't want to be the guy at 40 years old walking into the guitar shop going, I used to be in a band once.
Right. Right.
I wish I would have done it and taken it seriously. So I took the gamble on that, and really it paid off. I met some really great people through music. I met some really shady ones too. It taught me a lot about the world, the way that people work, and honestly, it's benefited me as a coach and as a teacher. But that whole detour, ending with Adeline in about 2011, I think is probably when that ended. So there's about a 10-year stretch that I was off being a bass player or a guitar player in some band or another. And it's funny to take that detour, but it's something that I'm glad I did because I don't have any regrets from it. And when our band decided to disassemble, I drove to Grandview University and enrolled in classes there, like literally the next day. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to become a coach and a teacher, because I had started volunteering for my uncle's softball program for a couple of years there. And that's kind of what started me in this direction of, I think teaching would be good. I think that coaching would be good. I still have my love for competition and passing along sports. So I went back to Grandview and started my new life at, I think I was 27 years old probably at that point, which is the exact timeline that I told my parents. Like, if I don't have this figured out by the time I'm 27, I'm done. I'll go back to school. So when things kind of fell apart with that band, I'm like, this is exactly what I was talking about. The timing's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's how I met my wife, and I have kids now and all that stuff. So,
Well, we're not going to gloss over all that. So, I coached your wife in golf.
yeah.
So way back when. How did you two meet? Because Casey was just, still is, I'm sure. I just haven't talked to her in a long time, but one of my favorites, when we were coaching golf there. So
Yeah.
how did you two meet?
So one, she's had a ton of positive things to say about you. That's how I knew that when I was coaching at Collins Maxwell that I could actually talk to you and engage with you and whatnot. But so we met in a classroom at Rasmussen Hall, I think is what it's called. Yeah, that's the new building I think on campus, right?
Okay.
Rasmussen education class. Pam Loneman was probably the professor, and I was never the best student. my young brother Josh, who's 7 years younger than me, was in the classes at the same time.
Right.
But she came in late one day and happened to sit at a table with me and Josh. Like you could see the regret in her eyes instantly. Like, oh my gosh, I have to sit next to these two guys. But I remember her coming in and she was wearing a Twins jersey, and she sat down at the table, and I sent a text to my brother and said, "Hey, girl in the Twins jersey, should I?" And he goes, "I don't know why you wouldn't." So I spent a couple weeks trying to figure out how I could work up the courage to, I mean, obviously we talked, we were at the same table, but to just be like, "Hey, you want to go to Perkins?" or something like that. But yeah, that's where I met her. And oh man, thankfully, because if I don't have her, I don't have anything in my life right now. And literally the best person I've ever been around. She must have had really great teachers and coaches growing up, but
or
yeah.
in spite of them.
Right. But yeah, that's where I met her, was at Grandview, because I took a risk on a band and stuck to the kind of timeline that I gave myself and decided to become a teacher. And now it's weird how things play out.
Yeah, it is. So you guys was it a long courtship? What did you?
Yeah, too long probably. I still got some regrets on that, but her family is amazing. Her mom, Jan, is the most wonderful lady I've ever been around in my life. Aside from my mom, sorry, Jan. But she's amazing. Her dad, Chris, was such an awesome person, huge personality, the kindest person that you could ever want to be around, but also would stand up for what's right and wrong. And the one regret that I have is that he's no longer with us, and so I don't have that 15-year relationship with my father-in-law like I hoped. But the time that we got, I definitely don't take that for granted. And man, so I waited forever to ask her to marry me because I'm a fool. But when I asked him, like, would you be okay if I married my daughter? He didn't say yes. He didn't, none of that. But like in typical Chris fashion, he just kind of goes, "Yeah, how are you going to do it?"
Yeah.
So he was pretty excited about that part. And then he ended up passing away before our wedding, unexpectedly, which stinks. But man, he raised some pretty incredible daughters, and finding Jan was probably the best thing that he ever did, I'd imagine, because Chris could have fun, and he was so smart that he could push anybody's buttons, and she just took it all in stride. And man, I'd do anything to have that guy back.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not, but I knew Chris.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet Chris and get to know him maybe for only 6 months before he passed.
Okay.
I was trying to start a broadcasting kind of group at Baxter where I was teaching and coaching, and he was broadcasting radio.
Yep.
I can't even tell you how we connected, but he ended up taking me under his wing and letting me broadcast a game with him. He made me a press credential.
Nice.
That I could wear around my neck. Even though it had no influence whatsoever on anything we were doing. It wasn't going to get me into a bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't even, it wasn't real, but he made me one. Really taught me the ins and outs of broadcasting, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he chose to be, I think it was just who he was, but I don't know why he chose to be nice to me and why he chose to help me out. Like I said, I don't remember how we were connected, and I'm pretty sure he didn't know that I had any connection with, Casey or anybody else.
Well,
But yeah,
knowing Chris, it was another person with a good personality who had a common interest, and he knew how to help people.
yeah,
Because once he knew how to do something, he was incredibly good at it.
yeah,
And he was like that with my buddy Travis. He had Travis broadcast a couple games with him. After 9/11, he did this bike ride for on RAGBRAI. He went all the way across Iowa, raising money for firefighters, and just the things that he did. It's weird talking about your father-in-law like he's kind of like larger than life, but that's just kind of the way that he was. He had just such a big heart and would do literally anything for anybody. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like I got robbed.
right.
But, I'm thankful for the time that we did get, because that was, I don't know if it was the best part about Casey, but a huge plus was like, okay, this family is amazing. The father-in-law is exactly what you would want as a guy. Like, you're getting ready to marry this beautiful woman, and her dad is remarkable, and he can have fun and all these things. And then, like you said, he was just gone.
Right.
And I remember the day that I got the phone call from my athletic director, actually, here at Carlisle. So I was teaching up at Collins Maxwell, and for some reason I was at home that day, and Carlisle was in school. And when he called me, I was just like, "You got to be kidding!" Like, I thought he was the worst prank anybody could ever play on me.
Right.
And once I realized what he was actually saying, I'm like, nobody would ever joke about that. And that was just a tough time. But anytime you know somebody like Chris, you're grateful and you're thankful for the time that you got, even if it was way too short.
And I still have that press pass he made me.
That's pretty cool.
Hey everyone, it's Eric from the Well, What Do You Know podcast. One of my favorite parts of this show is getting to sit down and hear real stories from real people, because when we actually listen, we find out we're not so different after all. If you've ever thought, hey, I've got a story worth telling, or you know someone who does, I'd love to hear from you. Just check out the description of this podcast and you'll find my link tree. In there is a guest form to fill out. And keep in mind, there's no cost involved, and I bring the studio to you. So fill out that guest form. I'd really love to talk to you. So in honor of Chris, you got to tell the world, how did you propose? Because he was interested in that, right?
He was. And I go, I don't know, Chris. I'm trying to figure this out, man. I just asked for your permission. I didn't even know if you were going to say yes. I could envision him like giving me the runaround for a little bit and then be like, yeah, you could. I was just wanted to test you,
Right.
I'm like, I haven't thought that far yet. But it ended up being that it was November. I think, gosh, if I got that wrong, my wife's gonna kill me. I remember it being cold outside, and I went to go get a ring, actually, is what I went to do. So I went out to West Des Moines, went shopping for the ring, and went out, and I was gone for way too long. And while I'm doing this, I get a text message from Casey, and it's like, hey, you live? Yeah, I'm alive, just hanging out. I told her that I was out at like Buffalo Wild Wings with my brothers or something like that. And she goes, all right, well, you either better, when you get home, you better have a pocket full of cash, a diamond ring, or a new car. And I'm like, okay, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, because I just gotten a brand new car. Well, new to me.
Right.
As new as a young teacher can afford. I'm like, okay, I got the ring, I got a new car. I definitely don't have any cash, so she's gonna have to just deal with that part. So that kind of sent the plan into like scramble mode, because I wasn't planning on proposing like that night that I went to pick up the ring. But I went to Fizz in Carlisle, and I got ice cream, and our softball field was being rebuilt, so it was under construction. So my buddy called me up and was like, hey, he acted like he was the cops. Hey, somebody just drove through the softball field. I need you to come up here and look at it. And it was dark outside. So I'm like, hey, so you just come with me and see what's going on. So we went up to the field and had the ice cream and the ring and whatnot at home plate of the softball field, and proposed to her there. And I appreciate everybody for helping me like throw that scam together really, really quick. Not the most romantic thing in the world, but it was the best I could do at that point, because she demanded the ring. And I just took advantage of the moment, and it was memorable in that regard. probably could have done something way more romantic, but I'm pretty sure that she's never expected anything romantic from me. I'm the worst when it comes to that, but that's how I ended up doing it. It was planned, but unplanned 100%.
Hey, man, if she said yes to me, that validates everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. You
So-
know, I just remember being so nervous. I don't know why I was nervous because I thought she was going to say yes, but there's that doubt in the back of your head where you're just going, if I get turned down, well, at least I'm on the softball field where nobody can see me. But I just remember not being able to hardly talk at all. And I was just such a crybaby over that moment, but it was all happy.
Good. What year did you guys get married?
We got married in 2016. So we're coming up on 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you already teaching and coaching by then?
Yeah. I was teaching at Collins Maxwell. That was my first job. And she was teaching at Carlisle, which was her first job, which is kind of funny because like that's both of our hometowns, like just flipped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was teaching up there. I wasn't coaching up there yet. I was coaching softball down here, and I was assistant boys basketball coach down here.
Okay.
So she was very aware of the life that she was about to dive into when it comes to being a coach's wife and all that stuff. But yeah, that's.
And what are your disciplines? What do you guys teach?
She's high school business, and I'm high school special ed. So
Okay.
I co-teach language arts and algebra right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. You said you were driving back and forth from Carlisle to Collins Maxwell
Every day.
And that's a pretty long trip, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could cut it down to 37 minutes if you really cut the corners and maybe didn't see the stop signs or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a 40 to 50-minute drive depending on if you get stuck behind a tractor or not. There was something therapeutic about that drive. I grew to love it, honestly. When there was snow on the road, it wasn't great because it was like the northern part of Polk County, the southern part of Story County, and those back roads there, they got pretty sketchy during the winter. But just the buffer between like the end of your school day and having like a 40-minute drive to completely forget about any of the stresses, I do miss that part quite a bit.
Yeah. So when and where was your first basketball head coaching job?
Collins Maxwell,
Okay.
the Spartans. And the girls up there, they tried to get me to take the job the year before I ended up coaching there. But my mom was really sick. She ended up passing away from breast cancer in 2018. So the timing wasn't good. So like that first year that they were the Spartans, they were in between coaches or whatever because of the split. And yeah, I was like, I can't do it. My mom's so sick. I can't be in Waterloo every night. You know, it's not good. So then that next year, the job came open again, and my mom had passed away. And I'm like, okay, well, the timing is probably okay. I didn't have kids yet, newly married, so that was pretty silly of me. But I knew I wanted to be a head basketball coach, and Collins Maxwell needed it. So I stepped into that role there and was there for 3 years, and that was pretty darn enjoyable. I liked my time at Collins Maxwell. The kids that I got to coach and some of the people I got to teach with and whatnot, just remarkable people. And I still have my Collins Maxwell bag somewhere around here. I don't know where it's at right now, but it still goes with me to every single basketball game. Just kind of as a tribute to our goal was always to qualify for the state tournament up there. And never got it done, but I kind of carry that bag with me just as a reminder, you know, you might not get it done. You have to be okay with it. And to finally do that was pretty cool. But
yeah. Not to talk about I know this is a tough subject for you, but I thought your mom passed away while you were coaching at Collins Maxwell. Is that not true?
No. So I know exactly what you're talking about. That glorious senior night game that we played over in Collins.
Yes.
Yeah. So
there was a leak in the Maxwell gym ceiling, correct?
Yeah, there was. I was really excited to come up to Maxwell and find that there was water all over the floor.
Right.
And because I'm crazy, we decided that we could pull it off in the Collins gym. If it wouldn't have been senior night, I would have never tried anything like that. But that was on the anniversary of my mom passing away.
I understand. Okay. I remembered it incorrectly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people thought that that's what it was, but it was the 1 year anniversary of that happening, and the girls surprised me with that. And for a group of kids to be aware enough to pull off something like that and come out in the pink shirts and all that was pretty special. But yeah, that was she passed away February 13th of 2018 when I was still the boys assistant at Carlisle. And she fought as long and as hard as she possibly could. Unfortunately, I was in a gym coaching when she actually passed, but I'd spent every day with her.
Right.
And we knew that the end was any moment, but we kind of also had an understanding that I had a job to do. So yeah, I was coaching when that happened, and I was at North Polk. I remember that pretty specifically. But she was an amazing person, and she cared for like our whole entire community because she did daycare and raised a bunch of them. Like there's even a couple girls on my team this year that went to my mom's daycare that I remember from being like 4 years old or whatever it would have been.
Wow.
But yeah, what an awesome person she was. And then for the Collins Maxwell girls to do that on the year anniversary, I almost didn't get to coach that night because it was, yeah, they made my eyes wet for whatever reason. I couldn't, some people call it tears, but I don't know if that's what it was.
I think that night told me what I needed to know about you. You know what I mean? Because your team would do that for you.
Fair.
And that told me what I needed to know about you. And yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a testament to those girls, though, and the parents that they had, the way that they were raised, the communities of Collins and Maxwell, and obviously Baxter was in that for so long as well.
Right.
A lot of those kids, I mean, same values and whatnot. You know, you coached them for long enough. Pretty tight knit area.
Yeah.
And there's just a bunch of people that genuinely care about people.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that those girls would step up and do something like that was pretty special to me, and I appreciate you for that comment, because when you're the new guy in the conference, you never know what anybody's going to think or if anybody's going to treat you well or anything like that. But it's pretty.
So here's your chance to, before we move on to the incredible season that you just had, here's your chance to give a couple of shout outs to people that made Justin Flaws who he is today.
Oh, man.
And take your time. I can cut out silence.
Well, let's go here. Since you're sitting in front of me, I'm going to start with you, simply because, like I just got done saying, you were extremely welcoming to me. You know, I was young coach and brand new to the conference, brand new to the area at a school where you had previously coached, you know, and you don't know how you're going to be received. And especially back then, I was probably a little bit louder than I am now during games and whatnot. But I mean, the people that know me understand, like, there's no harm in that. Like, I don't ever mean anything by it. But no, to have you and like the courtesy and the compassion that you showed me and just like treated me like I had always been there was something that like I personally won't ever forget. Like, just on how to treat. Because I remember after the first game when we played you guys, I asked the girl specifically, I go, so is this guy like always like this, or is he full of it? Or like, there's no way somebody's like that good of a person, right? And they're like, no, that's pretty much Padge. And I was, what's that?
I said, that's nice. Thank you.
Well, I was so thankful for that. And usually before games, I'm really difficult to be around probably. I'm just kind of focused on the task at hand. And I learned so much from you in that it's okay to take a breath and talk to the opposing coach and to, you know, show people that you are human. Yeah, you're about to go battle it out, but it's okay to be a good person too. And then
battles too, didn't we?
Oh my word. Yeah, we can get into that if you want to.
No, not. You got me so many times. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, but it wasn't without a lot of gray hair. That's when I first started getting gray hair. Was trying to figure out, is he gonna go inverted triangle in one? Is he gonna go face guard everybody, or triangle two? I mean, face guard everybody. He's gonna go box in one. Is he gonna go man? He's gonna go zone. Is it 3-2? Is it 2? I'm not kidding you. You gave me fits, and there's a reason why I sent you the text a week ago, probably about a week ago, right?
Yeah.
Asking about 1-3-1, because we used to run a bunch of 1-3-1 at Collins Maxwell, and I go, well, who would be the guy that would probably know this? Padge. I ran it on him for quite a while, and I mean, I value your opinion on things, and I think that I hope that you at least see how much I appreciate you, and the relationship that we built over those few years while I was there. And then it meant the world to me when you came and watched one of my games when I went to Carlisle.
Oh, yeah.
you showed up at Boone, and I thought that was pretty amazing. So yeah, you've taught me more than you probably understand, just when it comes to appreciating people and being a good person, and understanding that you can communicate with other coaches and ask for their opinions and all those things. So you probably don't realize it, but yeah, you're one of those people that are definitely on that list for me. And my assistants at Carlisle know it too, because I've talked about you in that regard, that you're somebody that I can trust and somebody that I know that I can get a straight answer from. So I appreciate you on that.
Well, thank you.
What was the question? Who created me? What?
Yeah, who influenced you? Who made you who you are today?
Okay, so as far as a coaching standpoint goes, my dad is number one. My uncle Jim is number 1B, and then just being around their practices from the time that I was born shaped so much of, I guess, kind of what I believe as a coach, how to run a program, how to care more about the players more than you care about wins and losses, more than you care about overall success. Like being able to relate to them is the number one thing. If you don't have that, then you can't have success at all. The discipline part of it that they always had was probably second to none. You can't cut corners around them. They're pretty smart people. They catch up, or they pick up on somebody that's not all in on something. But the lessons that I learned from them from the time that I was old enough to walk and go to their practices, and even still today, they're so much of an influence on me. I'm spoiled in the fact that I do have an uncle that's been extremely successful, and he's won 6 state championships. So, and he's been kind enough to bring me along for 2 of them, as his assistant. And to be able to witness that firsthand and be able to understand how to navigate stressful situations in the postseason and continually getting people to buy into what you're doing. I don't know the right way to thank those guys. I think they understand that I appreciate them, but those 2 are definitely my biggest influences when it comes to why I'm currently in the position that I'm in. The other one would be Lee Brecht, who was Jim's assistant for softball from 85 to 2021, I think is what it was, because we won it in 2019. 2020 might have been his last year. So I've been with Jim now for, I think, 15 years is where we're at. So I was with Lee for 10 years, and he was the assistant number 1, and I was just kind of the guy sitting on a bucket learning. Mm-hmm. And Lee is the smartest situational coach I've ever been around. He is the best at knowing when to talk and knowing when to be quiet. And you always know the postseason is here because Lee starts talking. And he doesn't say a whole lot during the season, but postseason gets here, he's ready to get down to business, because he played baseball at Norway, which...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think he won something like 7 or 8 championships there. Wow. As a player, because I think they might have played fall ball back then, and you might have been able to play as like a 7th grader or something like that too. I can't remember exactly what the total is because that's way before I was even born. But Norway is the most legendary baseball program in the state.
Like, absolutely, Coach Van Scoy.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty clear where Lee got a lot of his things, and he was Jim's right-hand man for a long, long time. And for Lee to be the old guy, he's got to be pushing 75 by now, somewhere in there. But to not shun the young kid that's trying to learn, and to teach me so subtly how to pay attention to fundamental things, and to teach me the fact that it doesn't matter if you do the latest and greatest thing. It doesn't matter if you do 100 drills. If you can't focus on 4 things and making sure that you're better at those 4 things than anybody else is, you can't ever have legitimate success, and sustain it. He was so big on that, and he's just a guy that is such a remarkable coach. Jim gets a lot of the credit, and rightfully so, but Lee, being his assistant and doing such a remarkable job of being an assistant coach, is something that I'm so glad that I was able to experience that for 10 years. Last night, actually, probably 11:30, I'm laying in bed, getting ready to go to bed, and my phone vibrates. I'm going, what in the world? Who's trying to get a hold of me at 10:30 or 11:30 at night? I open it up, and it's Lee Brecht. And 1, I couldn't believe he figured out how to use a text message. But two, he just said, congrats on a great season. The hard work and sacrifices make your family proud. Enjoy spring break. I think softball season's coming. And that meant the world to me to get that text message from him, because the day of our semifinal game at the state tournament, I ran into him at Casey's, and I hadn't seen him for a couple months. He lives right across the street from my dad. But I ran into him there, and when I ran into him there at Casey's that morning, it was like, for some reason, it was like a sign or something. Just the calm that I felt after that, just getting to talk to him for a split second, was awesome. And then so to get that text message from him, like one of the guys that you've always looked up to, is pretty cool. And yeah, Lee's one of the best. But my Uncle Dean is another person as far as the coaching world goes. He was a longtime basketball coach, and another guy that still is always in my corner. So when it comes to coaching, it's probably those four guys, yourself, and then Wes Stover will probably kill me if I don't give him some credit. So we'll say Wes Stover and Corey Sirkovich and Cole Billerbeck. I don't know for what, but they're coaches too.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm thankful for those three. When I was at Collins Maxwell, we built this coach's office into the basement of the 31 gym, right? The old gym. There was like a Hopper's old office down there in the basement. It turned into this storage area full of asbestos and stuff, but we didn't mind. We cleaned it all out, painted it, and made it our little spot that we called the Bird's Nest. And just the conversations that we had down there were awesome. To be able to go and have lunch with those three guys every single day. I still talk to them on a daily basis too, because we experienced a lot, especially like with the schools going separate ways and the start of the 8-man program with Kirk and Stover becoming a basketball coach. We went through a lot together, and we always kind of kept each other in check. And most people probably wouldn't admit it, but we were there for each other through a lot, and appreciate those guys as well.
You always chuckle when you think about Stover being a basketball coach?
Only because he always refers to himself as anything but a basketball coach.
You told me that before.
Yeah. So I get a chuckle out of it just because of the conversations that we'd have. But he's just a genuinely good person, and I really appreciate getting to know him in my time at Collins Maxwell, for sure. And, of course, my wife, just for being able to tolerate me. She does so much behind the scenes to make me look like I know what I'm doing. And that's the truth. All coaches will credit their wives, and usually somebody has to remind them to speak about their wives, because coaches lose sight of the fact that they have a family. But she does essentially all of my planning for me. She takes care of my family, makes sure that every single person in our house has food, has clean clothes, has a clean house to come home to. But all of our social media stuff, the decisions that I struggle with making, because I'm so closely invested, like with our players, like if it's a personnel decision or whatever it might be, it's amazing how much I rely on her. Yeah. And honestly, I would be a pretty terrible coach. I might still be a terrible coach, but I know for a fact that I wouldn't be worth a crap if I didn't have her constantly reminding me of every single thing that I had to do, and constantly reminding me to be me. Yeah. I can get caught up in, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? Am I going to make this person upset? Am I going to do? And she's always just that calming voice that reminds me, like, you're the head coach. You get paid to make decisions, and they're going to be tough, but you wouldn't be in this position if you weren't good at being able to make those decisions and live with them. You know, if you're going to get this torn up about things, maybe you should just quit. And when she tells me that kind of lights a fire under me. And I'm like, you know what? Quitting's not an option, so I guess I have to get tough here. Right. But no, she's truthfully the one that makes everything go. And I hope she understands that. I know it's not always easy being the one that's at home or the one toting the kids around to our games or getting ignored or whatever it might be. But she does the same thing for the softball team. She's team mom and gets all of our logistics in order. And really, I hope she understands how truly grateful I am. I'm sure that a lot of times I'm pretty bad at expressing it, but I would be a miserable mess, actually, if it weren't for her.
On Saturday, March 7th, Coach Flaws led the Carlisle Wildcats girls basketball team to the 25-26 3A State Championship with a 38-36 victory over the Dallas Center Grimes Mustangs. Their only loss of the season came at the hands of 5A number 7 West Des Moines Valley. Carlisle took a 5-point lead into the fourth quarter of that game before eventually falling 59-58 to the Tigers. I really enjoyed living vicariously that week through Justin and his team. Please enjoy the second part of our conversation, all about that magical run to the state championship. You just had an incredible run, lived every coach's dream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to embarrass you here, but I just saw something today, basically coach of the year at every level, every publication, all that stuff. And I know that you're going to say it doesn't matter. And I've been there, not to your level, but I understand what you're saying. When did you know that this team could be special?
First of all, thank you for all that. I didn't know about any of that stuff until I was walking down the hall to come talk to you, actually. It's nice to be considered for those things and whatnot, but the players are what makes all that happen.
Right.
I knew that this team could be special when the current seniors were in 8th grade.
Wow, that far back.
Yeah, honestly. So I had just left Collins Maxwell because I'd taken a job at Carlisle, and my dad was coaching junior high basketball at this point. You know, retired coach has to get back into coaching because he can't stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
He was coaching the 8th grade girls basketball team, and he got sick. So he had stomach cancer and had to take some time off, and wasn't able to coach for like the first 2 months of the season. That's 2 months and 2 weeks long, you know?
Right.
So I didn't have anything going on, and I was like, you know what? Tell the school that I'll fill in for you. Just, you know, tell them to pay you, and I'll volunteer, and I'll step up and help you guys out with. So I went from coaching varsity to coaching 8th grade, and my first thought was, oh gosh, what in the world am I getting myself into? You know, because the Collins Maxwell teams ended up being pretty decent, like Reagan Franzen and the Hogues and Brooke Christie and them. They did a really good job, and we were so locked in with what we wanted from each other. And then now here I am with these pipsqueak 8th graders going, what in the world am I doing? And I show up for practice, and it's like, oh, okay, this is good. They were like the miniature versions of what they are now. Like they were just so tight with each other, and they'd been coached so well up to that point that it reminded me of coaching a varsity team. And Macy was very, very, very good at that point, Macy Comito. At that point, I was kind of like, this team, by the time it's all said and done, they could be pretty good. And then their sophomore year, I became the head coach here. And, you know, the first year didn't go exactly the way that we wanted to, but that's to be expected. You get a bunch of young kids, new coach, you're not going to be on the same page yet. So then last year, we thought that we'd be in the tournament. Like that was kind of our expectation. We ended up 1 point short. And then in May of 2025, so that off season, that's when I really like, you know, I thought we'd be pretty good way back when. But in May, seeing every kid come into open gym and having them all be responsible for each other, and I didn't have to say a single word. It was literally open the doors, open the ball rack, and they all led. Yeah, the seniors were kind of vocal leaders, but it didn't matter if it was a junior, a sophomore, a freshman. They all made sure that they were getting the job done, and it was pretty clear at that point what their goal was. And I hadn't experienced something quite like that before, where I didn't have to say anything, and they just did it. And it stayed consistent through the whole entire summer. Like I didn't have to do a whole lot of anything. Like they knew what had to be done. They showed up. They got the work done. Then the fall rolls around, and we played in this Johnston League against Johnston and Dowling and like all the CIML schools. And I think we beat everybody there except for Johnston. I think we lost by 10 to them. And at that point, I was kind of going, okay, these kids have grown up physically. I mean, they're stronger, they're faster now. Let's see what kind of happens here. So then the season starts, and you get through to Christmas break, and I think we were 8-0 at break, and it's kind of like, holy cow. All right, this is really good. Then coming out of Christmas break is kind of when I thought, all right, I think the tournament is realistic. You know, win it or not, you never know about that, but at least getting there to give yourself a chance. I felt like that was pretty realistic at that point. Like the girls were so locked in. It was cool to be a part of. I know that.
Yeah. And one loss on the season to Valley, right? That's a first of all, it's a bold game to schedule.
Yeah.
But it had to work out, right? Was it? A lot of coaches will say, forget that nonsense. We don't ever want a loss, but sometimes losses can be good.
And I've always had a hard time accepting that.
Yeah.
That you can learn something from a loss, because who wants to lose? But I intentionally scheduled that game last April, I think, when I was going through the schedule. I knew that I wanted one of the best teams traditionally in the state on my schedule. I knew that I wanted it to be at the end of the schedule because I had a feeling we might be able to make a run at getting to the tournament. And I felt like if we do it right there, one, if nothing else, it's going to be a good tune-up and it's going to tell us exactly where we are. Two, if you win it, man, okay, now you're in business, right?
Right.
But the best thing that we did the entire year, I think, was schedule that game, because we came out, we played extremely well to start. We got up 12, I think, twice. We had a girl tweak a knee and go out, and we kind of lost the lead at that point. And then we thought that we had enough in the tank to be able to finish it out, and we just didn't. And one, it proved to us how valuable every player on the team was. Two, it showed us exactly where we were weak. And I thanked Coach Utah through text message and phone call about it, for exposing us. Mm-hmm. That was exactly what we needed, because we'd had some success up to that point. And to play them there and have them show us exactly, okay, this is, if we're going to actually do this thing, we've got to tighten this up. And to watch our girls approach after that game in practice, in games, their attention to detail, knowing, okay, we can get hit in the mouth and we're not where we want to be. Absolutely. Like, scheduling that game, yeah, it's a risky move or whatever, but if you want to have a chance, you better put a team like that on your schedule, because they'll expose every weakness you've got. They bring in athlete after athlete after athlete. And that's the one that taught us more about us than anything else the whole entire season.
Yeah, and I don't know. You kind of hesitated on the word risky. I don't think it was a risky game, other than possible injury, but it was kind of a no-lose situation for you, right? I mean, like you said, if you end up winning it, great, that's awesome, but you're not expected to win.
There's nobody that thought Carlisle should go into Valley and win. Mm-hmm. We thought we could, but that's about it. We might have been the only people that believed in us at that point. But no, it's good. And if I had any advice to give to any coach, it would be do that. You want to be able to play great teams. And, they showed that in the tournament. They went in and went toe to toe with Dowling to go to, what was it, the championship game? They won the opening round, right?
I believe so.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
but
you were busy.
Yeah, I kind of was. But they went on and played extremely, extremely well. And that's the game that you have to schedule if you want to have a chance at that point, because it's going to tell you exactly where you're at. You go and play a CIML school who plays tough competition every night. They're going to come out and they're going to out physical you. They're going to outshoot you. They're going to out hustle you. They're going to do all that stuff. I think maybe the only place that they didn't get us was probably the hustle part, because our girls were pretty relentless on that. That's the one spot that they always refuse to get beat in. But yeah, I'm so thankful for scheduling that game, because I genuinely think that that's why we were able to do what we did.
Yeah. So take me back to the game that you won to go to the state tournament. Your first trip to the state tournament as a head basketball coach, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Final seconds are ticking down. Describe that if you can.
What a great feeling.
Yeah.
To see the satisfaction on our kids' faces, knowing that what they had committed to and sacrificed for was being realized. Like, we're going to the state tournament after falling short the year before. I was so happy in that moment, because as the seniors came off the floor for their last time in that gym, I was just so happy that we didn't let them down. That, because talent-wise, they're pretty good, and only a coach could probably get in their way.
Right.
So the fact that we were able to do that together and get everybody into a regional final game and to be able to celebrate with our families and the community afterwards, just a great feeling. And I've experienced it before in softball, but Carlisle basketball, my dad's teams were always good. They always had winning records and all that stuff, but they went to the state tournament twice. And then the coach before me, he went twice as well, but it had been 11 years. It's difficult to get there. I mean, as any basketball coach knows, it's so incredibly hard. But to be able to pull that off for those girls was such a great feeling. It was a relief, but to see the look on their face that it was all worth it was pretty special feeling.
What did you and your staff do to make sure that making it to the tournament wasn't the ultimate goal or the realization of the ultimate goal, right? Because you wanted to keep going, you wanted to keep winning. Yeah. But you see so many teams celebrate the fact that they make it to the tournament, and then that seems like it fulfilled their ultimate goal and they don't do anything while they're there.
So we were pretty good, I feel like. If there's one thing that we did right, it's stress, and this is all season long, just stress the fact that you can't let your highs get too high and your lows too low. It's okay to be proud of yourself. It's okay to feel like you accomplished something. It's okay to be happy. But if you want to take that next step and you come in as a five seed, I don't know that many people are thinking you can win it, but to believe in yourselves.
Well, we wanted to get to the seeding. That was ridiculous. So,
but to believe in yourselves unapologetically, and just the belief that they had in themselves, and to understand and truly believe that you can't let your highs get too high and your lows too low. I think that's the one thing this season that the coaching staff got right, because the girls genuinely believed it. So they were excited to be there, but they immediately refocused to Clear Creek Amana. And then they refocused to Sioux City Heelan. Then they refocused to DCG. And the maturity that the girls showed in being able to do that, be excited. You just won a game at the state tournament. That's awesome. But to refocus and get back to film and game plan and still enjoy each other, they did a very, very nice job of that.
Last question for you. If you can sum it up, what did it mean for you to do this for the community that you have grown up in and been so much of a part of, your family?
Quite a bit, honestly. There's a whole lot of emotions that go into it for me, because, almost every memory of my life comes back to Carlisle. I moved away for a little bit, but still ended up back here. My whole childhood is here. I remember nearly every girl that's worn a Carlisle uniform since probably 88. That's about as far back as my memory goes. To see some of those people in the stands, to be coaching some of their daughters. There's a bunch of different levels of special to me because of how many layers there were at play. To be a graduate of Carlisle made it feel pretty darn awesome. There's a part of me, and I don't know that this should genuinely play into it or not, but when I first took the job, the people that go, sure, you want to coach basketball at Carlisle?
Right.
Like, that's what you're going to do? Like, can you really have success there? There was those types of questions that I would kind of get from people. And my only response was just kind of, why not? You got a really great group of girls to work with. I know a lot of the young kids coming up. I know the quality of person that you're working with. It's not like you're working with a bunch of people that aren't going to commit to you and they're going to be half button things and cutting corners and that type of thing. You have people that are going to work hard. So yeah, I was willing to give that a shot. So it feels good to do that because of some of those questions that I had, or that were proposed to me, I guess. Yeah. But to just be able to do it for this school district, this community who had never been to a state championship in basketball before, that was really an unbelievable feeling. A lot of people think coaches are crazy. They are, actually. But you're crazy when you set a goal like this, because if you sit back and think about it, it's not impossible. Obviously, it can be done, but it's so hard to win a state championship. Like, the work that goes into it to get everybody on the same page, you have to have complete buy-in, and you have to have things go your way, because you get to the tournament and everybody's good. So if you don't have a little bit of luck on your side, you can't win one. And I think that the number one thing that people underestimate about winning a state championship is that luck does come into play. And people can talk about luck being whatever, when preparation, whatever that saying is. But what I mean by luck is the things that have to go your way for it to all fall into place. It's really, really hard. And I'm lucky enough to have done it in softball and now basketball. And it's very satisfying to know that when you have a bunch of people that can commit to something and you get things to fall into place, that hard work ends up winning, and it's just a great feeling. And I hope we made the people of Carlisle proud, and I hope they enjoyed watching us, because that team was so much fun to coach. And that run through the tournament, I don't know, it was, I know that not many people expected it, but gosh, that was fun to come out on the good side of things at the end.
Well, hey, only one team in 4A gets to end the season on a win. So I mean, that right there tells you how hard it is.
Exactly, it's really hard, and just hats off to the girls, because they believed in themselves, and they don't really buy in. Like, a lot of teams have mottos and like these things that they put on shirts, and our girls kind of just feel like words on shirts don't mean much until you really know who you are. That's why we've never really put something on a shirt at the start of the season. Like, we discover who we are halfway through the season or whatever, and then it becomes like a recurring theme for us. And like the thing for us was, well, there's a couple. So there was take care of us, which means always take care of each other. If somebody's down, pick them up. If somebody's saying bad things about us in social media, don't worry about it. Like, we can only take care of ourselves. The other was stay tenacious, which defensively they had to keep on reminding themselves, like, if we're going to do this, we got to be able to play defense like our hair's on fire. And then the last one that we always wrote on the board was just love each other. And I felt like that team did that so ridiculously well. Freshman to senior, they genuinely loved each other. And I think that's why we probably got to where we were. It's just the genuine love between the girls. And obviously they were raised well. Their parents taught them that love matters and that people matter. And if you can commit to things, good things can happen. So, yeah.
Well, man, I could talk basketball with you forever, but I know I've taken up a lot of your time here. So what I got to ask, what's the higher high right now in your life, the state championship or having a drink with Bill Murray?
That's a great question. Man, that was wild.
Yeah, I cannot believe that text I got from you.
We were at that Bill Murray, his blues band, his show at Val Air.
Worst singer to ever have a band named after him, by the way.
Amen. The band's killer.
Oh, there were some great singers in that band, but he was not one of them.
Lights just on my room. But yeah, we had a feeling that he might go to Sully's afterwards, Like, there's an Irish bar across the street. I bet you if we go in there, we're probably going to run into Bill Murray. And sure as crap, I turn around and there's Bill Murray sitting there. And
that's incredible.
It was a pretty cool experience. Just like growing up a Bill Murray fan. And my wife is like, her first love is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
So she thought that was great. But I think when I say championship is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
Bill Murray is a close second.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll let you go. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you so much.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Keep it rolling, dude.
We'll try.
All right. Take care, buddy.
You too.
Thank you for listening to Well, What Do You Know? The podcast created to tell people's stories. Everybody's got a story, and every story is worth saving.
The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Well, What Do You Know podcast, P Square Design, Pagitech LLC, or our sponsors. The Well, What Do You Know podcast, its parent company, and its sponsors are not responsible for any statements made by guests during the recording or publication of this episode.